Awesome. We are rocking and rolling. Good afternoon, Miss Kiaundra. So
Good
happy.
afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm awesome. So happy to have you here today. I'm going to do my little introduction, but I'm sure I won't do it justice because you are fabulous in so many ways. We were just talking, before I pressed record about how we met. And just loved your authenticity and have been following you ever since. But I think the thing I loved most about you was the fact that, okay, I'm going to take my therapist hat off and we're about to pray and go before the Lord. So that was so amazing. Well, I have with me today none other than Miss Kiaundra Jackson. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist. Her resume spans very far from OWN's TV show Love Goals. She's been featured in Oprah Magazine, Fox, CBS, and as you can see in her background, she is listed as one of Forbes' Next 1,000. You go, girl. She's a speaker, y'all. She's an author, a TV personality, and the co-founder of Black Speakers Rock. So without further ado, welcome to She Is Magazine, the January-February issue, Miss Jackson.
This intro. I am so here for this intro. I absolutely thank you so much for having me and for your kind words. It means a lot to me. It really does.
For sure. I'm a people collector. I don't know about you. When I meet good people, I keep them. And so you have been an inspiration since our first meeting. And so happy that you could be a part of the magazine this month. So I'm going to jump in because I know people's attention spans just little tad bit, little short. And so one of the things I also love about you, Kiaundra, is your sense of humor. You have a very cool sense of humor. And so I'm sure that's going to shine through today as well. So I read your bio and the things, that are on the internet. What do you want people to know about you as a person, as a therapist, as a coach?
That's a good one. I don't think I'll be there just yet. I definitely feel like, especially as a person, a lot of people associate how they think and perceive me to be because I wear the therapist role, that's the way that I am in all other aspects of my life. So as Michelle already mentioned, I got a little quirky personality. We don't do things that's boring over here. I love to laugh. I really love to laugh. Okay. I make up words. There's just so many different elements to my personality that people are surprised about when they
Mm-hmm.
see me. And I think that's also what makes me unique because oftentimes when you think of a therapist, you think of them being, so buttoned up and so serious
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And, there's a whole group of Black millennial, pop-in, amazing, unorthodox therapists that are out there that are really shifting and changing the landscape. And so we know in psychology, our field is typically white and male.
Yes. Yes.
So to have a woman of color, I have my hair up today, but I normally have a twist out and,
Mm-hmm.
I normally look a little bit different. To have someone who looks a little bit different, being able to still bring that knowledge and expertise is really powerful. So I don't like to take myself too serious all the time. I often have to be serious, but on my downtime, I enjoy laughing, watching really funny TV shows. I love comedy. And I
Awesome.
think that's probably surprising to a lot of people after they meet me.
That's great. You know what I love about that? That you're a therapist, Black, female, and funny. Making that intersection, on so many resonates with so many different people. And so, as you mentioned, millennials are now seeking therapy, and that is awesome all by itself. And so that leads me into my second question: why did you choose to be a therapist?
Ooh, child. I chose to be a therapist because of my own trauma, my own issues. Most therapists are in this field because they had their own stuff with their own family and relationships and their own mental health issues. And so
Mm,
that's no different for me. I grew up in a home where my dad was physically and emotionally abusive to my mom. And so I just seen a lot of unhealthy qualities within a marriage and within a family unit. And for some reason, I was just like, it's supposed to be like this. Okay. Like,
mm.
this is not normal. this should not be happening. And so I just kind of went on this personal and professional mission to help people have healthy relationships, whether that's romantic or platonic, and really help people to go to that next level with their mental health, right? Because in the Black community, we know mental health is a topic that's a little bit more
Hmm.
taboo than
Yeah.
other cultures. And so when we see people who are Black, who are of color, who are women talking about this and normalizing it and making it something that we all go through, I think it really speaks to a lot of the underlying issues that we tend to ignore in the Black community. So I became a therapist because of my own issues, my own trauma,
Yeah.
um, but we went to therapy because I believe every therapist should have a therapist. Okay.
That's awesome.
So we went to
Absolutely.
therapy and we worked through our own stuff. And so now I'm able to give that gift and help other people in the same way.
God. Oh, oh, that's so good. I want to read your vision. Because I'm like, whoa, that's big. That's big and it's very noble. And her vision is to help 1 million couples heal their relationships, prevent divorce, and keep families together. Now, I just want to park the bus right there just for a minute. Seriously, because we're in a society now, the culture dictates everything that is contrary to your vision. Honestly, the culture says live with your man for 7 years and figure this thing out, and if it don't work, then you get somebody else. And the culture is dictating, if you're not happy, get out. And there's so many different levels of, I'm not happy, or I need to leave because of this or because of that. But these, some people would call old fashioned goals. I love that, because you have to really believe in the covenant of marriage and the foundation, um, and what the institution provides. So could you speak to that? Um, why why want to help couples stay married? Why do you want families together? Why, you are on the front line. I'm like, the vanguard. I am going to stand in between you and divorce. I mean, that's a big step.
It's a huge step. And to be honest with you, when I first wrote that vision and that goal, it was only 10,000. And then I was like, we gotta go big or go home. Like, let's go a million. So
Yes.
I wind up shifting and changing that to a million. And not only through the one-on-one work that I've done, but through television and video and social media content and the books that I've written. I'm probably gonna hit that goal way quicker
Hmm.
than I really thought and imagined. But I chose to really focus on healthy relationships as far as like couples and
Hmm.
marriages, because that's where the foundation starts.
Absolutely. And Kiaundra is obliging me. She is not feeling her best, so we thank God for her and her tea
My tea,
and
y'all
a
see me
cup of
drinking
tea.
some tea is because my throat is not
Right,
displaying.
right.
But in all honesty, I do believe that the foundation really starts with healthy marriages, healthy relationships in general. And then when you have a healthy family unit, that trickles down to generations, right? So when it
Mm,
starts with mom and pops, and then the kids are healthy, and then they have kids, and then they have kids, right? Like it's a trickle effect. And so that's how you look up and see generations be shifted and changed, generations breaking curses and patterns and cycles that were unhealthy. And so I was like, you know what? How else are we going to get these tools unless somebody gives the tools and someone
absolutely.
really stands in that gap and say, this
Mhm,
is how you have healthy relationships. This is the blueprint. This is how you do it. If you haven't seen it before, okay, cool. Well, let me show you what this looks like, because that was me.
yeah.
Literally everybody in my family is like married, divorce, divorce, married, married, married. Like, like it was just this pattern. And I'm like,
Mhm,
again, it's not supposed to be that way. And so if I can be that bridge and that gap
mhm,
for my family and for other families, I'm absolutely here for it. So I just really am all about providing practical relationship tips and tools. Even in the dating phase, even in,
mhm.
those phases before marriage, I think we still need those tools so we can get to the altar.
Absolutely. I'm glad that that's a great segue into this. We're heading into 2024 and people talking about, you new year, new me, that, same old stuff we'll see on social media. But I believe before we get to healthy, and let me know if you agree with this because I'm not the therapist, but I believe that before we get to healthy relationships and marriages and families, we have to first be healthy within ourselves. And something you put on social media, and I want to read that too. You said the relationship you have with yourself is arguably the foundation on which your other relationships are built. So I want to talk about that for a minute because showing up your whole self in a relationship and everything that you bring, your experiences, your nuances, your proclivities, all, the things your aunties, big mamas, all of that comes to play. So being a whole person before you enter into any relationship, I want to speak to that as we transition again into the new year. What is step one? Honestly, I'm a step one, step two kind of girl. So step one on just uh, being okay with who I am, and if something needs tweaking, if I need the therapy, if I need the help, what is the step one? Because I need to be good before I can present myself into other relationships.
Absolutely. Step one is literally just being your authentic self, right? So, as we mentioned, we all have different personalities, different background, different childhood experiences, different all of the things, right? Different socioeconomic economic statuses. I mean, we just have so many different variations of that.
Hmm.
If you feel like you looking to the left and to the right and looking at how everybody else is doing and you're trying to mimic and compare and compete with somebody else because you think that they look better, they got more money, or what you see on social media,
Yeah.
you are operating outside of the parameters that God made you.
Yes,
I wasn't gonna come on here preaching today, but you
but
are
I'm here for
operating
it.
outside of those parameters in which God made you. If God is saying, I knitted you in your mother's womb before you were on this earth, I knew you, that means all of the good, the bad, the ugly, the in between, everything that you are is intentional, right? And
Mm,
so when we move away from that, it's almost like we're slapping God in the face a little bit. We're
so
saying,
much,
no, this is
so
not how I
much.
want to. I'm gonna change myself. And I'm not saying that you can't grow and evolve and change and get fit or do all of those things, but it does mean that you have to show up and be who you're supposed to be. I am this way on every platform. You see me in person,
Yes, yes,
you see me online, you see me on social
yes,
media, you've seen me
yes.
show up in this same exact way. And either people absolutely love Kiaundra or honestly, they absolutely hate me. And
Don't nobody hate you.
oh, yes, they do. You should be seeing these comments, okay, that people be leaving on my page, and it's them.
Oh,
But
wow.
regardless of what people say about me, I know I have to do and say and be who God created me to be. And I know that I'm not for
Hmm.
everyone. So your people is going to be your people, right? And the people
Absolutely.
who are going to be that, it's
Hmm.
perfectly fine. They can go and find somebody else who will be a good fit for them. So the first key is to be your authentic self and be who God created you to be.
And speak to the person that's going to watch this, that's going to wonder, is that enough? Because there are so many women who wonder, you know, am I enough? Always trying to satisfy that question, and especially Black women. Is my hair the way it is? Is that enough? Is my butt enough, or do I need a BBL? I mean, there's so many things that we wrestle with internally.
Absolutely. There's some things I want to change about myself too. It's so funny that you're mentioning. I literally told my sister because I went to this event. That's how I got sick. I went to this event and I was looking super nice and I had on this very form fitting dress and I turned around and I looked and I was like, I need a butt. And so I said, in 2024,
I'm gonna
I'm
get a
gonna get
butt.
I'm gonna do better and get the. I'm not getting no surgery, but
Right.
I'm gonna start working out and doing exercises that's going to shift and change that, right? And
Hmm.
so there's absolutely things about ourselves that we want to change, and there's nothing wrong with that. Things that you want to enhance about yourself, that's fine. But I am here to tell you that you are enough the way that you are. You are enough. The way that you are, your hair is that way for a reason. Your body shape is that way for a reason. Your eye color is that way for a reason. Your personality is that way for a reason. And I tell people oftentimes, like, you are the gift. The
Mm,
way that you show up in the world is the very thing that somebody needs. I'm gonna let
definitely.
that sink in. The way that you are, the way that you show up in this world, you are the very thing that somebody needs. So if you're thinking about switching and changing and rearranging and doing all of those things, you might miss the
Mm,
person or the persons you are
looking for
supposed to
you.
impact and reach because you're going to tweak and
Yes.
change. And I can't tell you how many stories of people who have physical disabilities or mental illnesses and things of that nature, and they just really hone in on their story. They're just like, you know what, this is a part of me. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be raw and authentic. And all of the people who pull you to the side and be like, wow, if it wasn't for you sharing your story, I
Yes.
would have died by suicide. There's so many elements to this. And so people may not always verbalize it initially, but I can guarantee your life and your lifestyle is inspiring to someone. So don't think that you have to tweak and change just because of what you're seeing on social media. Social media is not real.
It's not. Oh, say that again for the people in the back.
Social media is not real.
It's not.
People just put the best parts of themselves on social media. So you're comparing yourself to 1% of what
Hmm.
this person's lifestyle is. I put a cute outfit on this weekend, right? And that's what I posted. But y'all didn't see me looking
Yes.
raggedy for the rest of the week.
Right.
And
Right.
so just know that you are the way that you are for a reason. And if someone's listening to this and they're having that internal dialogue, I mean, because I am a therapist, maybe it's something deeper that you need to explore. It's okay
Hmm.
to say, you know what, maybe this is rooted from my childhood. Maybe someone told me that I was ugly. Maybe my mom
Mm.
never showed me love and appreciation. Maybe I was touched inappropriately. Or there's so many different things that can kind of skew your vantage point of who you are and also
Mhm.
how God sees you,
Yes.
because that's the
Absolutely.
other real good relationship, right? Having a relationship with yourself, but the relationship that you have with God is just as equally as important, because that is the root of how all of the other relationships with family, friends, and coworkers, that's how you have healthy relationships with those people, when you get God and yourself right.
Wow. That's source material right there. Source. Wow. Couple things I could start following on social media. Something that you said that I absolutely loved. You said these are buzzwords in the industry and in culture that people use. And you were like, everything ain't trauma.
Great.
Everybody ain't a narcissist. And everything ain't toxic. So I need you to help us. I need you to help us figure out some of this, how we can if there's a litmus test for what's trauma. That ain't trauma, girl. You need to go take a nap.
No, that's real. I mean, I'm very excited that we're in a culture now where we're starting to become aware of mental health and mental health
Mhm.
terms. I'm excited about that. I really truly am. But I do think that it's overused and misused. And
Mhm.
so people hear a word, narcissism, trauma, negative, all of these things. And it's just like, is that really that? Or because you heard somebody else say it online, you just decide to take it and run with it, right?
Mhm.
The amount of people who have been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder is a small percentage.
Mm.
Literally. So how is it that every other person all of a sudden is, diagnosed and they're a narcissist now, when that's not even clinically appropriate? That's not what the statistics and the numbers say in
Mhm.
the realm of psychology. So I think we just need to be a little bit more careful if we're going to use these words. Actually, look up the word. Google is our friend.
That's what
Okay.
I was gonna say. How do we determine the proper usage? Of these terms when it relates to people we're trying to describe. And then I've heard, of course, the term narcissist used so loosely. It's kind of like saying somebody's a vegan these days. It's like that, and I didn't know it was a clinical diagnosis. I'll stop there.
Yeah, like narcissistic personality disorder is a personality disorder. And so personality disorders are typically rooted in your childhood. And
Hmm.
oftentimes it can be genetics, but it's not something that you loosely just associate with every other person, right?
Right,
And so
right.
people think that just because someone was mean or they were manipulative, that they're a narcissist. And I'm like, that is not the same thing. A personality disorder is pervasive throughout your whole life. It's not not a small incident, not a one-off situation. Oh, this only happened for a week. Now they're a narcissist. It's like No. If they were doing this since birth,
Yeah.
then you might need to see that this could be a personality disorder.
Mhm.
So there's so much that we can get into, but I like to tell people don't say things just because you heard somebody else say it. That's one.
Right.
Google is our friend. We have the internet and definition at our fingertips. So if you
Yes.
don't know what trauma is, go to Google. What trauma definition? What is trauma? And read. Educate yourself so you won't be in a situation where you're saying something inappropriate or
Right.
inaccurate, and people are looking at you crazy like that's not
Mhm.
right, sis. That's not right, bro. So it's about educating yourself. And then you
Mhm.
got, therapists and mental health clinicians. I'll check somebody in a minute and I'll be like, is it really narcissist or is it they're just having a bad day? And I
Right.
think that we're in this culture where we don't even allow people to have negative experiences anymore. As
That
soon as
part.
it's a negative experience, they're like, oh, it's trauma, it's traumatic. And it's that person just had a bad day. It wasn't trauma, like that person just had an attitude. They needed a nap. Like it wasn't a
Yes.
traumatic experience. So when we think about trauma, and I could talk about this stuff all day. Okay,
Yes.
about trauma, we also have to think about the wound that it leaves, right? So it
Mm.
isn't just, oh, they said something to me wrong, and so I'm in my feelings about it, so it was traumatic. But did it leave you a wound? Where
Oh,
you
wow.
was it
That's
something
good.
there? Yeah, was it
That's
something
good.
there that was like, this left a deep wound of guilt, of shame, of rejection, of insecurity within me? If it did not, 9 times out of 10, it isn't trauma or a traumatic experience. So that's a way that I like to help people gauge what trauma is like the wound that it leaves, if it leaves one at all.
That's so good. Did it leave a wound? Did it leave a wound? And when you say when that I understand the phrase, I have a limited understanding of what that phrase means. But can you expand that term when you said did it leave a wound?
Yeah. So say for instance, if you were upset with me today because you were hangry, you haven't ate in the last 5 hours, right?
Yes.
You gave me a little attitude. And so now I'm kind of like, oh, well, Michelle, she was rude and disrespectful to me. And so now I don't know if I want to be friends with her anymore. Like that
Mm,
traumatized me. That would be something people would say.
got
And it's
it.
just like, she didn't eat, she needed a nap, she had a little attitude. That wasn't necessarily a traumatic experience. But if
Yes.
you said something that was like, Kiaundra, you are ugly, you've always been ugly, and I'm making
Yes.
up something on the
I
fly,
got you. I
you will
got you.
always be ugly, right?
Yes.
If you saying that, ta- touch something on the inside of me, and
Mhm.
now I feel rejected,
Mm.
right? Now
Yes.
there's a wound there that has been left, and now that can be perceived as a traumatic experience.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's something we could talk about this all day, but I think that's kind of an example of like how people just need to be a little bit more cautious
Mhm.
of what is said and what is meant. And also too, kind of thinking about like what that leaves you with, because I don't think a lot of people are self-aware enough to even know sometimes that a wound is being left or a wound
Mm.
is open or a wound
Mhm.
was cut and it's a new wound or even an old wound that has been
Mm.
reopened. Because if my mama has been telling me that I was ugly my whole
Yeah.
life, and now you come along and say it,
We're reopening
it's
that wound.
reopening the same wound that I never
Yes.
dealt with, right? So
Yes.
just go to therapy, y'all. Just
Right, exactly. And I was thinking as you were talking, if you reopen a wound, the healing process has to start all over again. So if you are being, affected and afflicted by people's words, that is there's an underlying issue. And my sisters are in the medical industry and medical field, and so they would tell me, I have a wound care patient. They have to go and monitor that wound, clean it, and make sure that it heals properly. So I totally, totally get it. That's awesome.
absolutely,
So we
yeah.
got about 5 good minutes. I wanted to another thing you said. You were talking about I love you and putting the I on the love you part. That seems like it's such a little thing, but it's huge when you sit in that and allow that to sober you.
Yeah. I've been on that kick for a while now because we can easily say, "Oh, I love you, love you, love you.
love
You
you.
know, but we might say it to a friend or a family member,
We
but
do.
sometimes the I and adding that I onto the front of that, it personalizes it, right? It makes it like, no, I love you. I'm all taking the ownership of it. And I'm not just saying this
Mhm.
haphazardly. It's like, I love you and I want to express that to you. So I think we need to get back to that ownership that I gives you. And then it feels good. Like when someone
It
says,
feels
like,
so
I love you,
differently. It
I
feels so differently. Yeah,
love
I love you.
you.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that to anybody. Love you. We me and my ex coworkers, we used to say like years and years ago, we used to say, love you, mean it. And we didn't. We didn't.
That's very true.
And
And that's
so
the
yeah,
kicker. Sometimes you don't. You can say love
yeah.
you real quick to somebody and you don't really feel that way.
Right,
One of the things
right.
that I've been saying before we move on that I've been saying, and this is when I really genuinely mean it. I tell people I love you deeply.
Mm,
That's been my new thing.
good stuff. So I got just some fun questions for you now. Love Jones or love and basketball?
Woo, loving basketball.
Oh,
Period.
we can't talk about that toxic relationship right now because we're running out of time, but we gonna
I
come
know.
back. But I love both movies equally, but I think Love and Basketball too. I agree with you on that one. What is your go-to self-care activity?
Ooh, a nap.
Uh,
I'm serious. I am a sleeper. I
That's
am a napper.
that's free too. Oh my goodness. I
Nap.
love it. What's one book you think every woman should read?
The Bible.
And
Sounds
another one.
so
I
cliche.
know, and another one.
The Bible.
Hmm.
Ooh.
I
Ooh.
agree with you on the Bible.
Um, that's a hard one.
No
I would probably say
worries.
Four Agreements by I think it's Don Juan Luis.
I have read that one, The Four
Yeah,
Agreements. Yes, I
great.
definitely have read that one. Um, Last one. You said you deserve someone terrified to lose you. That
Terrified.
just that just took my whole breath away. I'm like, wait a minute, let me check. Let me check. What's going on over here? Absolutely. And
Terrified.
the intentionality of that statement, uh, I think there are so many women that are still um, sacrificing themselves and not getting somebody who is terrified to lose them because we see that in social media. And when, Cardi B was just recently on a rant um, on social media about her relationship. And I felt deeply saddened for her. I really did. Because you could hear the passion and the despair in her voice, because all she wanted was minimal. Negro, for you to act right and act like you my husband and not cheat on me.
That's it. You deserve somebody terrified to lose you. That means you not being in my life would be a deficit.
Mm,
Like I want to be my best version of myself. For you, you want to be the best version of yourself. I can't see my life without you.
that
And not
is,
on some obsessive, weird, fatal
I love
attraction
that.
type stuff, but
Right.
we're just talking about genuinely, like you have added so much value to my life. I don't want anybody else in my life in this
Mhm.
capacity but you. That was the sentiment and the energy of that post.
Yeah, it was good. It was so good. I picked out I was like, there's so much stuff. I can't talk about all of this. So as we're leaving, could you tell people how to get in touch with you? I know you're an author. You have 3 books. I have one of them. I can't think of the name of it right now. But tell us about your books. Tell us about your services and how people can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So I have moved away from doing one-on-one work. However, you absolutely can stay connected with me on all social media platforms at Kiaundra Jackson, which is my
Hmm.
name. You
Hmm.
can go to my website, which is kiaundrajackson.com, to check out all of the books. I have tons of books on mental health, on
Yes.
speaking, on healthy relationships, and I will have some more things coming down the pipeline soon, but you can definitely stay connected with me and see me on your TV. Let's just say it like that. See me on your TV coming soon. I got some really great media projects.
You've already been on my TV. What is the commercial? The therapy commercial.
Better help commercial.
It's so funny. I was like, oh my God. And you see somebody, then you see them on TV. It's like, I know her. I started fangirling. But thank you so much for this time that we've had together. There has been so much value. People, if you're listening to this, please reach out to her. She has wonderful offerings. And if you want somebody real, funny, um, who's going to also help you, Miss Jackson is the one for you. So thank you so much. She is listeners and followers. Yes, hearts, hearts. You have a Merry Christmas and thanks so much, Kiaundra. Talk to you soon.